Imagine sitting with a group of friends reminiscing about childhood memories, the shows you watched, the cereal you ate, the toys you played with. Everyone laughs, nods, and agrees as you recall the same stories. Then you look something up, and a cold wave hits your stomach. Because the memory you swore was true, the memory everyone else at the table also remembers, never actually happened. Not the way you remember it, not even close. And yet millions of people around the world remember the exact same wrong detail as if they lived it themselves. Welcome to the Mandela Effect, a psychological phenomenon so strange, so unnerving, and so widespread that it has made scientists reconsider how the human brain works, and made some people wonder if reality itself is glitching. Today on the Mind Metrics, we are going to explore this phenomenon with a depth that goes far beyond the usual internet examples. We're going to dive into the science of memory, the psychology of collective belief, the mechanisms of false recollection, the social forces that rewrite the past, and the stranger theories, the ones that hint at alternate timelines and parallel realities. By the end of this video, you won't just understand the Mandela Effect. You'll question everything you thought you remembered. Let's begin. Memory isn't a recording, it's a reconstruction. People like to imagine memory as something solid, as if our brains store exact footage of our lives in perfect detail, but that's a comforting illusion. The truth is this: your memory is not the event itself, it's your brain's best guess at recreating it. Every time you recall a memory, your brain rebuilds it from scratch. It takes fragments from different brain regions, sounds, images, emotions, interpretations, and stitches them together into something that feels accurate. But feeling accurate and being accurate are two very different things. Neuroscientists call this reconsolidation. Each time you remember something, the memory becomes malleable, soft clay, and the brain reshapes it. And over time, these reshaped memories drift further and further from the truth. The Mandela Effect is that phenomenon on a massive scale. But how does it become a shared illusion? Let's explore. The Mandela Effect origins, a death that never happened. In the 1980s, Nelson Mandela was a political prisoner in South Africa. But thousands of people, later millions, recalled seeing news reports of his death in prison. They remembered world leaders speaking about it. They remembered televised mourning. Some even recalled reading about it in textbooks. But none of it happened. Mandela was released, he became president, and he lived until 2013. So how did so many people around the world remember an event that never took place? This question ignited the global fascination with the Mandela Effect. And it opened a doorway into explaining why humans are so prone to false memories. But Mandela is only the beginning, because the deeper you go, the stranger it gets. Famous Mandela Effect examples and why they matter. You've heard them, you've probably fallen for some. Let's walk through several. But instead of just listing them, we'll break down the psychology behind each one. Pikachu's tail. Millions remember Pikachu having a black tip on his tail, but he never did. Why? Because the character design feels like it should be symmetrical. Dark ears, so probably a dark tail tip. Your brain fills in the correct design automatically. The Monopoly Man's monocle. People are certain he wears one, he doesn't. But he's based on wealthy banker stereotypes, many of whom have monocles in early cartoons. Your brain merges the stereotype with the image. Luke, I am your father. Perhaps the most famous misremembered line in cinematic history. But Vader never says it. The actual line is, "No, I am your father." Why the confusion? Because people paraphrased the line for decades to make it clearer who the quote refers to. The incorrect version became cultural shorthand, repeated so often that millions now remember it vividly. Mirror, mirror on the wall. Never said. The real line is magic mirror on the wall. But mirror, mirror sounds poetic and has been used in countless adaptations, spoofs, and books. The adaptations rewrote your memory. The Berenstain Bears? You probably remember Berenstain with an I-in, but it's Berenstain, A-I-N. Why do so many people misremember it? Because Stein is a common ending. Stain is uncommon. Your brain automatically corrects the spelling to match familiar patterns. These examples seem small, but the phenomenon they reveal is monumental. It shows that memory is not passive. Memory is active, constructive, and deeply flawed. But common memory mistakes don't explain everything. Because the Mandela Effect isn't just about logos and quotes, it goes much deeper. Collective memory, why groups misremember together. Humans are social creatures. We rely on each other's perceptions to form beliefs, stories, and shared truths. So when a false memory circulates, even subtly, it spreads like wildfire. Psychologists call this memory conformity. Imagine you're unsure about a detail. You hear someone else confidently state something. Your brain adopts their memory as your own, not consciously, not deliberately, automatically. The more people share a false memory, the more real it becomes to others. This is how misquotes spread. How wrong images become standard, how stereotypes form, how entire historical events get rewritten in the collective mind. The Mandela Effect is the collective version of a personal false memory, amplified by culture, repetition, and the human need for cognitive coherence. But even this explanation has limits. Because some Mandela effects are too widespread, too consistent, too deeply ingrained to be dismissed as simple mistakes. Let's go deeper. The mechanics of memory errors, the brain's system flaws. The brain is astonishingly powerful biology, but it makes systematic errors. Here are the key ones that feed the Mandela Effect schema distortion. Your brain has pre-built frameworks for how things should look or sound. When reality doesn't match the schema, your brain corrections the memory. The fluency effect. The version that is easier to remember often replaces the real one. Luke, I am your father is easier than, no, I am your father. Your brain prefers simplicity. Source confusion. Sometimes your brain misattributes the origin of a memory, mixing movies, books, memes, conversations. Memory decay. Details fade first. Your brain fills them in with guesses. The imagination inflation effect. If you imagine something vividly enough, your brain can convert imagination into memory. This happens constantly, and you don't notice. Interference. New information overwrites old information, even subtly. It's like updating a file on your computer without realizing it. But if the Mandela Effect were only about psychology, it wouldn't feel eerie. People wouldn't describe it as unsettling. There's a deeper reason it feels wrong. Why the Mandela Effect feels disturbing. It's because the Mandela Effect attacks one of the most fundamental beliefs humans hold. My memory is reliable. When you realize this isn't true, especially in a shared collective way, it creates cognitive dissonance. You begin to question, what else do I remember incorrectly? How much of my past is real? How much of history is real? If my mind can create a detailed false memory, how would I ever know? This isn't just a curiosity, it's a psychological threat. But the mystery gets even deeper because some Mandela effects don't just challenge memory, they challenge reality. Fringe theories, parallel realities, timeline shifts, simulation glitches. These theories are not accepted by mainstream science, but they are fascinating, and they show how deeply the Mandela effect has captured human imagination. Parallel timelines. The idea people shifted from a timeline where events happened differently. In one timeline, Mandela died in prison. In another, he didn't. People experiencing the Mandela effect are remembering the alternate timeline. It sounds wild, but the concept of parallel universes exists in quantum physics. The simulation theory. If reality is simulated, the Mandela effect could be patch updates, texture changes, or retcons. Like a video game update rewriting certain details. Collective consciousness interference. Carl Jung believed humans share a subconscious network. Some think Mandela effects are echoes from shared psychic fields. Reality merging. Some theories describe timelines merging, causing small inconsistencies. Are these scientifically supported? Are they fascinating and philosophically rich? Absolutely, and they reflect our desire to explain a phenomenon that feels too widespread and consistent to dismiss. Real-world studies, the science of false memory. Scientists have actually tested the Mandela effect in lab environments. One famous study had subjects remember images of famous logos, but with slight alterations. People consistently picked the wrong versions that never existed. Another experiment created false childhood memories in volunteers through storytelling and suggestion. A third of participants later insisted those fabricated events really happened. Neuroscientists have even identified brain scans showing that false memories feel just as vivid as true memories. The emotional centers activate the same way. The visual cortex activates the same way. Your brain makes no distinction. False memories are real to the brain. This is the heart of the Mandela effect. Memory, reality, and the fragile truth. The Mandela effect isn't just about Pikachu and movie quotes. It reveals something profound about being human. Reality is filtered through the mind, and the mind is imperfect. You don't perceive the world as it is. You perceive it as your brain interprets it. And those interpretations can be wrong. Sometimes a little wrong, sometimes very wrong, sometimes shared wrong. The Mandela effect forces us to confront that uncomfortable truth. It shows us that certainty can be an illusion, that confidence doesn't equal accuracy, that memory is fluid, that reality is, in some ways, negotiable, and that the stories we believe, individually and collectively, shape the world more than the facts themselves. So the next time you swear you remember something, pause, reflect. Ask yourself, am I remembering reality or the story my brain constructed? Because in the world of the Mandela effect, the line between truth and memory is thin. So thin it can vanish without you noticing. And that's what makes this phenomenon so captivating and so haunting. Thanks for watching The Mind Metrics. If this video made you question your own memories, comment below with the Mandela effect that shocked you the most. Like the video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another deep dive into the mind, the universe, and the mysteries in between. Stay curious. And remember, sometimes the things we're most certain of are the very things we remember wrong.